Welcome to the May 10th edition of the PFF Forecast. We have guessed the lines. Finally, at long last, we have games. There are lines out there. We're going to guess them. It's going to be great. Let's run. All right. Before we get into the games, the big games that are going to be played in a few months, we're recording this on a Wednesday afternoon, a few hours before the future NBA champion Lakers play in Game 5 with a 3-1 lead against the Warriors. Arjun, what are the chances that they win this game?
Well, game 5, I don't think they'll win. Going on the road, I think is a little bit tough. And
What would the spread have to be in Game 5 for you to take the Lakers?
probably like 8.5. I think it's at 7.5, but yeah, I'd probably only feel comfortable like 8.5. Road Warriors are like so tough to like understand. And like when they get back home, like they usually like turn it on. Like game 1, I think was a little bit of a fluke for the Lakers, but I don't really feel comfortable betting the Lakers on the road. But if it gets up to 8.5, 9.5, maybe in game, that might be a play for me.
I am betting all Warriors spreads all night long, and I will continue to bet them. And if the Lakers win, great. I don't foresee that happening. Mike Greenberg was petitioning them to rest LeBron and Anthony Davis, and I pitched this idea at the beginning of the series, right after Anthony Davis played 44 minutes. I would still implement it. I feel like kind of an idiot for agreeing to a certain extent with Mike Greenberg, but that's the world that we live in. All right. We have got NFL games. We have the London games. We have the Germany games. There are 2 this year because there is not a Mexico City game. And then we have 2 more that have also been announced. So we have a nice little set of games for us to, 3 more that have been announced. So we have a nice set of 8 games. We're going to guess the lines, and we are going to discuss whether we want to bet them now or not. You can actually bet these, which is absolutely phenomenal. So let's start week 4. This is the first London game. Jaguars play back-to-back weeks in London. This is the first of them. It'll be Falcons and Jags at Wembley Stadium. Brad, football is back, baby. What do you think this line should be?
Football's back. I got the Jags minus 5.5.
Yeah, I got the Jags minus 5.
I went with Jags by 5.5 as well. Now, I am seeing on our friends at FanDuel, I am seeing Jags by 4. So start with you, Brad. Are you betting this one or 1.5 off?
Interesting. It's the same on DraftKings as well. That is pretty short. I think it's a bit of an overreaction to, the offseason champions that are the Atlanta Falcons. At least in the free agency, I think people said that. I'm not sure everyone said it about their draft class, but I'm going to say no just because I have a play on the next Jaguars game in London, so I'll skip this one. But if I was betting something, it would be Jaguars.
Yeah, I think auto bet for me would just be Calvin Ridley over his revenge game against Atlanta, or maybe just take the Jaguars team total over. I've been lower on the Falcons just in general. Not like specifically their team, but I think their defense, especially. You talk about their offseason additions, like you add Calais Campbell, like you'll add you always forget the Saints, David Onyemata. Yeah. But like they trade for Jeffrey Okudah, and like, okay, it's great. They buy low, but there's still he has a higher chance of being bad than he does of being good. Their slot corner, either it's Mike Hughes or Clark Phillips. Like Clark Phillips is going to be a rookie. Like this is a bad secondary. And I think the Jags with Christian Kirk, Calvin Ridley, Zay Jones, Evan Ingram in a contract year. He hasn't even gotten his extension yet, so he still needs to play for his money. I really like the Jags to put up a ton of points here against a pretty, leaky secondary that I think Trevor Lawrence can take advantage of.
Yeah, just look at the quarterbacks. What's the spread differential between the quarterbacks alone?
Get Desmond Ridder and Trevor Lawrence. Yeah, it's probably a touchdown, if not more.
So where is this being made up? Like I just, I'm curious how you guys do this in your head. I'll just tell you how I guess the lines. I think about, okay, I'm a bookmaker. How am I power ranking these teams? Are there any key numbers I'm crossing? But then in my head, what I do is I do two things. I compare the two quarterbacks and I go, what's the difference between the quarterbacks? And that helps me set an initial line. And then it's like, okay, what's the difference between the rest of the teams? Because it's smaller, like the rest of the teams, are still going to matter when you composite them together. But like I was doing this one, I was like, well, the difference between Desmond Ridder and Trevor Lawrence is like 7.5 points. But you're telling me Desmond Ritter's just showing up and balling out? Like, no, absolutely not. And then the Jaguars are a better team otherwise and have a better coach. So the only reason that I ended up at 5.5 was it is a neutral site game. I know the Jaguars play overseas more frequently than other teams do. And then the other thing was I just didn't think that this early on the books were going to lay kind of that big of a number. So I went down a little bit below 6. So that's why I'm 5.5. But I'm with you, Arjun. I'm betting this game all day long, and Calvin Ridley overs as well. So I don't think there's any way. Mark my words, when we get to week 4, unless there's like some big injury, this is not going to be 4 anymore.
There's no chance. Yeah.
Week 5, Jaguars playing again. They go from facing the Falcons to the Bills. So a slightly different challenge. This one is in Tottenham. So not technically not home and home, but they will be in London or in the UK over the course of the week. So I'm curious, as you guys are answering this, whether you adjusted at all because the Jaguars were going to be there kind of for a longer period of time. Brad?
Yep. So I did. And I'll be honest, I wanted to just see if the lines were actually out there. This was one that I saw. It was after I already wrote down my prediction, but I saw what it was. That's why I knew it was a bet, like I just mentioned. But yeah, I did. I think it's a big deal. Like you said, it is early in the season, so maybe it's less of an impact. But the fact they get to set up camp there, stay there for the entire week, prepare for it, all those things, it did influence it. So anyway, I had the Bills -3 in this game.
I went with Bills -3.5.
Yeah, I Bills by 3.5 as well. On FanDuel, it is Bills by 3.5 -105. Jags plus 3.5 is -115. So they are kind of on the fence just a little bit there. Brad, are you betting that half point?
Yes, absolutely. So I think a couple things here. A, I just talked about a bunch of stuff in terms of, situation, all that. B, I don't think Von Miller is back by week 5. And I think this price might be reflecting if Von Miller could be in this game. And I'd be surprised if a 34-year-old coming off a torn ACL, I think he'll play next year. I don't think it's going to be by week 5. And you look at the matchup again. Calvin Ridley is the best offseason move that either of these teams made by a significant margin. The Bills secondary was kind of leaky last year. I mean, Trey White is an all-pro, very good player, but after his ACL tear, did not look the same. And because the Jaguars have a lot of tertiary weapons and can now spread it around a good amount, with a limited pass rush that went from top 5 in pressure rate without blitzing with Von Miller to bottom 10 in pressure rate without blitzing without Von Miller, and not really making any substantial improvements in my eyes, I just don't really see, why this should be over a field goal. When I bet at 3, I thought it was going to be on the money. I saw the hook, and I said, all right, I'm taking Jacksonville.
Yeah, I like that analysis, Brad. I'm with you there that I think, Von Miller won't be playing. I've also just always been like, kind of like, I think the Bills defense, like for how many like good players they have, they've never really performed at that level. I feel like to good opponents. And they lose Leslie Frazier, and this is like kind of early in the season, so new DC could be going through some growing pains, could be like kind of learning about calling defense for the first time, or just like acclimating himself with this group. And yeah, I mean, Jaguars being in London for that second week, I think they should be, they should have the advantage there from that perspective. But overall, I do think like Bills are obviously the better team as reflected in the spread. And I'm not going to bet this just because I think the Bills, like, their offense will be pretty good this year, and I'm not that big on the Jaguars defense, especially after losing guys like Arden Key to free agency and cutting Shaq Griffin. So it could be a little bit of a changing period for them as well. So I'm gonna lay off this 3.5.
laying off as well. I would be interested to see what the total comes out to. I think the uh, Bills here with the flexibility of Diggs, I think they put Diggs in the slot a lot in this game. Trey Herndon, 93rd highest graded corner, plays in the slot, 56 PFF grade. Diggs, they do a great job moving him around, motioning him around. I think he eats him alive here in this game. And I did give the Jaguars a little bit of credit for staying in London, but then I thought more and more about it, and I actually don't know. I mean, the jet lag is one thing, but these are professional football teams that spend millions and millions of dollars, and it's not that hard if you do that to counteract the impact of jet lag. Like an average human can do it if they just put some thought into it. It's not the end of the world. So then I thought about it this way, actually, which is you're almost on vacation for a week. And it's like, you're in London, you probably got some family with you. Like, I actually don't know that I'm that big of a fan of spending that amount of time there. The Bills are traveling from Buffalo, New York. So it's not like they're coming from San Francisco, California, all the way over there. So it's not as big of a journey. So yeah, I ended up not giving him a whole ton of credit, and for that reason, I'm going to lay off a little bit, but I will probably bet some Stephon Diggs overs if they ever decide to release player props early. We can always hope, I guess. Week 6. This one is again in Tottenham. The Baltimore Ravens, Odell Beckham Jr. and the Baltimore Ravens are going to face the Tennessee Titans. Brad, would you make this?
Yeah, so this is one where I like the thought process of, I'm guessing the spread has Ryan Tannehill in place, and maybe if Tennessee's season just starts off terribly, you get a Will Levis game early in the season. Maybe they wouldn't do that to him in London against the Ravens defense, but nevertheless, I went Tennessee plus 5.5 here.
I went Ravens -6.
I went Ravens by 6.5. And I'll just say this. I was kind of thinking the same thing as you, Brad, which is, man, the Titans suck. And this could be this could be Will Levis by then. And in that case, I would really like the Baltimore Ravens against Will Levis and the Titans. But I think, I like them kind of regardless anyway. So landed 6.5. Sorry, it is 5.5. I should say. That is on FanDuel right now, and it's -110 to both sides. So you nailed it, Brad. Arjun, you were off by half. I was off by a point. Arjun, are you going to bet that?
I'm not betting the spread. I'm not gonna. Well, I can't bet anything yet, but I do like the under in this game. Depending on what it opens up at, on the day of. I think about like both of these teams. Ravens are kind of building like a defensive identity, re-signing Roquan, and they signed Rock Ya-Sin. Like they have like good pieces on defense. Mike McDonald, one of the best defensive coordinators in the NFL, in my opinion. And then Mike Vrabel, I think, while I don't think the Titans have a lot of talent on defense, I think he always gets the most out of them. And just not to forget, like these two teams have history. Going back to like 2021, I want to say, when they met in the playoffs, and the Titans were stomping all over the Ravens logo, and then Marcus Peters picks off Ryan Tannehill at the end. Like there's history between these teams. It's going to be a physical game. I think Mike Vrabel, like he does a pretty good job, I think, against mobile quarterbacks. Looking at the history between these teams in their last like 3 games, only one game has really been like a shootout, or in their last 4 games. And in that one game where the total went to 54 points, like Derrick Henry did have like a big game. And I think the Ravens defense is equipped to handle kind of Derrick Henry now, and they will put a lot of emphasis on stopping Derrick Henry. So I like the under in this game. I think, it'll be kind of a slogfest with a lot of running, so time should go off the clock. But yeah, I don't really have a play on the spread as of right now.
I'm tempted, but I'm gonna hold off here. I don't know why. There's like a little bird in my head, not bird, whatever, voice in my head. I don't know what I'm saying. That is telling me not to bet it. I do think it's kind of the Vrabel thing. Like, don't underestimate Mike Vrabel, but I will say this is kind of interesting. On FanDuel, they tell you the percentage of money that was bet and the percentage of bets that were placed on one team. And I don't know if you guys have the math chops to handle this for me, but can you guys make sense of this? According to this, 100% of the money, the spread money wagered, is on Baltimore, and 84% of the bets are on Baltimore.
I got nothing for you. That's a trick question. That's like one of those, stumpers. I don't know.
I thought I was like seeing something wrong. I don't know. Arjun, you're in school. So like this sounds like a question that you're gonna get on a final at some point here.
They might be like rounding up or something from like 99.5% and up. Like that's the only
Or could it
explanation
be like the money line? Like, is that the percent of the total bets on the game itself? And then that still doesn't make any sense.
It says
I almost
spread.
talked myself into an explanation. Yeah.
Yeah, it says spread. So Arjun, that was what I was thinking too, is like you're rounding up from 99.9 or something like that. And so that would mean the 16% of bets that are on the Titans are like for $5.
Yeah, less.
Yeah.
And
They just came out today.
And yeah, maybe there's just, I don't know. I thought that was funny. Anyways, they've got a lot going on at the sports books. They're trying to figure some stuff out. Week 9. Also, I can't imagine how many people have bet on these games yet. Week 9, Dolphins and Chiefs in Frankfurt. Our mission is to get Timo Riske to this game. I don't know what we're going to have to do. That is my sole mission this year. I saw this game come out this morning, and I was like, I wonder if there's going to be a good game in Germany, because he deserves it. And he got one. Chiefs and Dolphins. Brad, let's start with you.
Yeah, he got one, because I think this week is going to be fantastic. Maybe 70 points. The next week might have 7 points. So I actually was thinking this morning when it came out that a good troll would be to get him tickets to Colts Patriots instead of Chiefs Dolphins. But anyway,
so here's what we'll do, Brad. We'll get him the tickets to Chiefs Dolphins, but we'll send it in a disguise, and then he'll open it and be surprised. We just got to make sure he opens it before the next week.
True. Just don't wait too long. But yeah, I was thinking about this morning, like chuckling to myself. He'd be like, "Oh, thanks, guys, appreciate it." Like, anyway, I had Chiefs laying 5.5 here.
Okay, I know I'm gonna be off market here, but I went Dolphins or Chiefs minus 3.5.
I didn't think I was going to be off market, and I said 3.5 as well. And it is 5.5. So Brad with the mysterious on the number once again. No idea how he made that happen. I'm just kidding. Okay, so Brad, you're on the number. Arjun, are we betting the Dolphins, I guess?
Well, I don't want to bet the Dolphins yet. It's most likely going to be a bet for me. I think like during the season, if assuming like Tua's healthy, and for most part, the Dolphins defense is healthy, because this really is a bet, I think, on Vic Fangio more than it is on just the team. Looking at what he's done to Patrick Mahomes. So since 2018, since Patrick Mahomes has taken over as a starter, in those 5 years, he's averaged basically 0.3 EPA per play and a 53.6 success rate when either running or throwing the ball. Against Vic Fangio specifically, when Fangio was the head coach of the Denver Broncos, Mahomes' EPA per play dropped down to 0.18 and only a 51% success rate. So, numbers across the board lower when facing Vic Fangio. And now I think he has the most talented defense he's had since 2018 when he was with Chicago. There's a lot of pieces on this team to be able to stop this Chiefs offense. And again, like this Chiefs offense didn't get better over the offseason. You lose going from Orlando Brown to Juwan Taylor, maybe is a minor upgrade. You go from Juju to Rashee Rice, like that is a downgrade to me. Like I don't care what anyone says. Like I'm not going going to expect Rashee Rice to step in as a rookie and produce like Juju did last year. And I think overall, I mean, you have Jalen Ramsey. I'm expecting Jalen Ramsey to match up on Travis Kelce for this whole game. Like that's the reason you trade for him. So I think there's a lot of pieces for the Dolphins defense to get stops on this Chiefs offense. And on the flip side, I don't know if the Chiefs have enough to get to and get past this Dolphins offense, assuming that they're as prolific as they were last year to start the year. And they figured some stuff out in terms of like countering opponent adjustments. So yeah, I really like it at 5.5. I think if the Dolphins perform as I think our podcast believes they can, they could make this a matchup, and I think this 5.5 will trend closer to like 4.
So I think this is a bet on Tua's health. I think the reason it's 5.5 is what are the chances that Tua plays in this game? By the time you get to week 9, who knows? I mean, honestly, who knows?
Mike Tannenbaum knows. If you saw that Twitter thread.
I did not. Can you explain this to me?
So he did this thread on Twitter where he gave these like QB awards, like superlatives. And, the first like couple were just like, best quarterback, like strongest arm, like, and then it just got like weird. It was like most durable, Josh Allen, least durable, Tua. And, Dolphins Twitter obviously caught wind of that. And, that became a huge thing. And even like the national writers were talking about it. So I don't know where he was going with that one. He was like the former GM of the Dolphins. So maybe there's some like animosity there. I don't really know, but I thought, that was a funny tweet he put out.
Yeah, he's susceptible to getting concussed, I guess. That's not durable.
He's not wrong. It wasn't an incorrect tweet.
Yeah. I lost my train of thought now. I'll say, while I regain my train of thought, I'll remind everyone to go join the Printing Press Discord. That is the podcast Discord. Obviously, we now have some more things to talk about with some spreads being released, but we bet on everything in there. Formula One, golf. We got the PGA Championship coming up. Obviously, the draft. And if it is bettable, we will bet it. And a lot of really sharp people in there, in addition, obviously, to Brad and Arjun. So you get a lot of wisdom that is dropped. We bet on the Oscars. Someone called the best actor like 3 months in advance. So go join. The link is in the description of the YouTube channel. You can also find it from us on Twitter if you can't find it there. And I will let everyone know, if you jump in now, we are doing some first looks at new PFF products. And so as a part of being a member of the Discord, you get to try these out. You get to give feedback. You'll get to use them before anyone else will. It's a really cool thing. I'll actually be, sometimes it's other members of the team that are running these. I will be running them with members of the team on Friday, and there are still a few spots left. Last I checked, a bunch of them filled up quickly, but there's still a couple of spots left. So go jump in there and grab a slot, and I will see you on Friday. All right. I am betting the Miami Dolphins. I think Tua, I'm now convinced after listening to Mike Tannenbaum that Tua will be alive for week 9. I think he's jinxed him into health. And here's the thing. I think all those points are really good about the Chiefs that you make, Arjun. And what have we seen from the Chiefs, I think, of late? They've been really, really good, but the propensity to blow teams out, it's not as, it's not quite as I don't know, often or frequent. And I just think this is a spread where I know it's probably going to be a really, really high total. So it's going to mean a little bit less. But I legitimately like the Dolphins' chances. I think the Dolphins, we've talked about this, we really like the Dolphins. So I think it's kind of aligning with that theory. The Jalen Ramsey, Travis Kelce thing, I think is a really good point. But I would actually think about this potential narrative, which is, I'm not saying Travis Kelce is going to fall off a cliff, but if Travis Kelce regresses or even starts to regress a little bit, and I think he's the best tight end maybe to ever play the game, but you have to take that into account. If that does happen, there's no one else. And I know Patrick Mahomes is amazing, but that would be really hard to overcome. Whereas with the Dolphins, I feel pretty good about their supporting cast for Tua. So if he's healthy, I like them quite a bit. And the Fangio point is great as well. I didn't even think about that. Colts and Patriots, as you mentioned, is the next week. It is week 10. It is in Frankfurt as well. Brad, would you make this?
Yeah, I think it's funny you were needling me for being right. I think it was because I was just being a coward and not willing to go to an actual number. And so it's funny that I ended up being right. I'm definitely gonna be wrong on this one because I had the cojones to do that. So I had the Patriots -6. I'm guessing it's going to be longer than the actual spread.
Yeah, I went Patriots -5.
I had Patriots by 6, like you, Brad. It is Patriots -5. And -110 to both sides. So Arjun, you nailed this one. Brad, what are you thinking here?
Yeah, I think the Patriots honestly had a solid offseason. I mean, I think Christian Gonzalez, we know everything. I don't need to repeat my thoughts on him, but jokes aside, I think he does add a dimension to.
Don't take anything Brad's saying here.
No, we've already moved on. We've already moved on. Hey, I didn't like Keon White, but I think it was a good pick at 46. I just didn't think he was going to go in the first round. But no, all jokes aside, I think their defense, which, you do look at the breakdown last year of the quarterbacks they faced, and they were number one in the NFL by a country mile against bad quarterbacks and kind of more close to the average against the better ones they faced. But this probably is going to be a rookie Anthony Richardson, who I do like long-term, but as we've talked about plenty, don't know if he'll be great in his first year. The guy at this point will maybe have played 13 college games and I don't know, 6+ NFL games. And then he's going to go against Bill Belichick with a defense that brought back Jonathan Jones, that added, like I just mentioned, their first and second round pick on defense. Two guys I think will make an impact pretty much right away. And lastly, I think by week 10, they'll probably be sitting there 3 games out of the division, trying to scrap and claw their way to a wild card or something. And they'll just, he hates the Colts. All Bill Belichick does is, he trades down to screw over the Jets and he beats the Colts by 40. Those are 2 things you can count on Bill Belichick to do. So yeah, I'm betting the Patriots here.
That was exactly my thought too, Brad. I was like, there's one thing, if there's 2 things I like, it's Bill Belichick against a rookie quarterback and Bill Belichick against the Colts. I can't remember a time where the Colts had a chance against Bill Belichick. Now, the one flip side of that, and I'm curious, Arjun, if you consider this, is, Anthony Richardson is a mobile guy. The narrative around, Bill Belichick struggling against mobile quarterbacks, was that something that you thought about?
Yeah, no, that I was literally going to bring that up when I was going to talk about the game, because I definitely I think it matters. And I think Anthony Richardson is the type of quarterback to take advantage of Belichick's weakness. But on the flip side, I did think about Shane Steichen. And Shane Steichen, when he was in LA in 2020, in his last year with the Chargers, Bill Belichick came to town and completely wiped the slate with him and Anthony Lynn, 45-0 in LA. It was a beatdown. Steichen and Lynn kind of just got the Belichick masterclass. I don't know if he's kind of overcome that yet, if he's figured out a way to beat the greatest coach of all time yet. And I don't know if Anthony Richardson is the quarterback to really take advantage of that and for Steichen to kind of beat Belichick's defense. So that kind of aspect of things, while Richardson's mobility will be a plus against Belichick, I don't know if Shane Steichen yet is the type of coach as a head coach to be able to figure out Belichick. Another weird point about this game, assuming that Christian Gonzalez steps in as the cornerback 1 for the Patriots, he's going to be matched up on Michael Pittman. Michael's brother, Micah Pittman, went to Oregon for 3 years, from 2019 to 2021. In those 3 years, from 2020 and 2021, that's when Christian Gonzalez was a freshman and a sophomore. I'm assuming both of them went at each other in camp and such. So, Micah, who's still going to be in college, he transferred to Utah, maybe has some, tips for his brother to be able to match up on Christian Gonzalez. So depending on how Michael's doing throughout the year, depending on how good Anthony Richardson is as a passer, could look to some Michael Pittman overs. Again, that's purely a DGen play and just a betting off this random fact that I thought of. But yeah, I think the Anthony Richardson mobility and Shane Steichen against Belichick, I think those things need to be considered before anything else.
last, not as in-depth and incredible as that matchup stat, but I did also think about, like, look, the Patriots receiving core is not great. We all know that, but the Colts corners, I mean, rookie Julius Brents might be the best cornerback on the team, at least of an outside corner. They obviously have Kenny Moore. That was truly incredible stuff right there. I don't know how to follow that act, but yeah, like I also think it's a good matchup where the Patriots, I think, are going to have a good offensive line that can hold up against the Colts pass rush. And then if they do hold up, Mac will be able to find a soft spot, in a weak link secondary and just kind of matriculate the old ball down the field.
Just wait till you hear my inside scoop on the next game. It's going to blow your minds. I'm betting the Patriots here. I think that the chances of ruin for the Colts are there. I don't know, if they aren't ruinous, I think it probably does end up around 5.5, 6. Patriots still favored. So, okay, let's go to Dolphins Jets. This one is in New York. Our Dolphins against Aaron Rodgers and the Jets. Brad.
Yeah, I'm curious what you guys say now if you had them only catching 3.5 against Kansas City and Aaron Rodgers Jets. So cowardly again, I went -2.5. I wasn't willing to go to the full 3.
Yeah, I went Jets -2.5 as well.
Okay, I am the lone soldier. Oh no, you went 3? Brad, no, you went 2.5. I went 3.
2.5.
It is 2.5. That is what the Jets are favored by. So I'll start. This is my inside scoop. Aaron Rodgers. I've done a lot of research on where Aaron Rodgers has been over the course of the offseason. I have uncovered that he has been what appears to be at a kind of ayahuasca I don't know what you call it, congregation or something like that. So here I'll tell you the whole scheme here. I'm not actually making this up. This is dead true. So the guy that Aaron Rodgers is like really close with, who he goes on his podcast to, like, he's like his brother in Christ, I guess would be the best way to put it. A guy named Aubrey Marcus, who he founded On It, which is like a fitness brand, protein, whole thing. But he's also like a big ayahuasca guy. And has this podcast, pretty well-known podcast. So I follow him, obviously, because I am enamored with any time Rodgers goes on there. I think it's super interesting. The guy that's on there, who I thought had some really interesting things to say, just put it that, they were interesting to listen to. So I click on his profile. I'm scrolling through his stuff, and I see a picture of what appears to be, I'm like, I wonder who that is. Is that Aaron Rodgers? Click on it. Yes, it's Aaron Rodgers. Do a little more research. My take, Aaron Rodgers is in a great headspace. Okay. He's in the right mental space to play well this year. I think he's looking healthy. That's what the pictures told me. I think the Jets are going to be really good this year. So I went full 3.
I respect that. I mean, look, he got the haircut, so he's looking healthy. He's looking happy. He's looking homed. Like it's all looking good for Aaron Rodgers right now.
Yeah. So I will bet the Jets based on that insider information. I had to compete with Arjun there.
You had to battle back there. Yeah. Yeah.
Also, this is week 12. So there's 3 more weeks through which fragile Tua could go down.
True. I'm honestly shocked you didn't make a joke about how Rodgers will be rested and available on Black Friday because he doesn't have anything to attend on Thursday. The fact you didn't bring that up, I had like -650 on George making that joke, Arjun.
I didn't realize it was Thanksgiving.
There you go. I have one more thought too, though. Vic Fangio, his defense has done historically well, not only against Rodgers when they obviously battled in the same division, but all those articles about the Shanahan tree and kind of the counter has often been Vic Fangio's defense. So my thought here, again, we're not going to get this for 6 months, but maybe a sneaky under where people are going to be like, oh, it's the high-powered Dolphins against the high-powered Aaron Rodgers offense. Hey, it's a late-season divisional game with 2 very good defenses. Maybe that's kind of a play as well.
Yeah, no, I'm laying off, but I agree with all the points you guys made, and I am curious to see how both teams kind of play out this season.
2 more games. Divisional matchup between the G-Men, the Giants, and the Eagles in Philadelphia, week 16. Brad?
I had Eagles minus a full touchdown.
Same.
I had Eagles by 7 and the hook. Eagles by 7.5. And it is Eagles minus 7.5, minus 115. So no love for the G-men. I'll start here. I agree with this. And I think you could make a case for 8. I think the Giants are 8. I do like Dable quite a bit, but I think the Giants are a sneaky candidate for some regression. I just Daniel Jones did not deserve the contract that he got. And I think now that you're paying him that money, it's going to show up. And I think one of the themes of this year is going to be how angry the Giants fans are and how happy the Jets fans are. And frankly, I think Jets fans deserve it, especially after what I put them through last year.
They do deserve it for many reasons. My thinking here was the only reason I'm afraid of it is with how bad the NFC is. Let's say like the Cowboys don't have the season we expect. Are the Eagles maybe not resting starters in Week 16, but like are they not giving max effort in a Week 16 game?
Stop.
Am I wrong?
I don't know. What did you do ayahuasca between this game and the last one?
Yeah, there's a chance that they're sitting there with like 12, 13 wins in Week 16, and they just don't need this game at all.
Oh my God.
Well, because Brock Purdy's robotic arm, or like I said, it takes the Cowboys having a down year because that means the division will be clinched, and the conference probably would look pretty good. I don't know. It crossed my mind.
I mean, the way I looked at this game, I went back to the playoff game actually that these two teams played. The game opened minus Eagles 8.5. It got bet down to 7.5 by close. And we're pretty much getting the same game. But I mean, the Eagles objectively, I think got worse in the offseason. Giants, I think they stayed pretty much the same. Maybe they got a little bit better. It's tough, but like Eagles, you can say for sure got worse. And it's a lot of projection on Kobe Dean stepping in for TJ Edwards and Kaiser White. It's Terrell Edmonds being a viable starter for them. Darius Slay and Bradbury both were pretty old, like still playing at a high level. It's going to be December, so like again, it's like late in the season, like their bodies are going to be a little bit broken down by then. I think I'm not going to bet the Giants because I hate to fade the Eagles just on all accounts. And again, the only bet I'd be making on this game is the Giant killer Boston Scott scoring a touchdown. And our friend Sam Hoppin gave the great idea of putting a reminder in your calendar the day before. I'm pretty sure this game is on Christmas Eve. The day before Christmas Eve or 12 a.m. on Christmas Eve, make sure to set that alarm, that calendar. Bet Boston Scott anytime touchdown. If it opens anything up like about like longer than like plus 200, I would make that bet easily just because I mean the history is there, and I think the Eagles also know it, and they're gonna like feed him as much as possible in the goal line.
He knows it.
Stocking stuffer right there.
He knows it, and this will be the second matchup between the two teams. So when the schedule comes out tomorrow, Arjun, I'm relying on you to remind us in the Discord to set that alarm. Okay, we're gonna close out here with a New Year's Eve game that everyone will want to watch. It is Bengals at Chiefs. Brad, would you make this?
I had the Chiefs line a full field goal.
I went Bengals plus 2.5.
I went with you, Arjun. I had Chiefs minus 2.5. Did not get all the way to 3. It is Chiefs minus 3.5. Now it is juiced. It is minus 105 for the Chiefs, minus 115 for the Bengals. So not a full 3.5. But I will start here. Arjun, we were both on the other side of 3. I will take the hook with Joe Burrow, and I don't know what you have to do besides having watched these teams play each other to kind of go with that narrative. They're always down to the wire. I think the Bengals are as good a team out there as there are. So I will take the hook. What about you, Arjun?
Yeah, I'm with you. And also like when the Bengals like have most of their guys healthy, like Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, and Joe Burrow, like they don't lose by very much. Like you look at some of their losses last year, really the only game that got blown out was that that Bengals or that Browns game where they lost on prime time. But otherwise, like they're only really losing by three and such. So like, yeah, I'm not like the fact that we're getting the hook for the Bengals, like that's an easy bet for me. And I do think that like the Bengals do a pretty good job on the Chiefs. They kept both their coordinators, and Lou Anarumo, I think outside of Vic Fangio, is probably the guy that's done the best work on Patrick Mahomes. The Bengals defense, for the most part, I would say stayed the same. They brought back guys like Jermaine Pratt. They should get Chidobe Awuzie back for this game. I think he should be recovered from that ACL injury by then. So they should have a relatively healthy or it's obviously tough to project injuries when they're in week 17. But if everything goes right, like they have the pieces to beat the Chiefs. They've done it before. And even though this is in Kansas City, Bengals have gone in there twice and beaten them. So I'm not too worried about, Bengals going on the road. And again, like I just don't think with Burrow and Chase that this game should cross 3.
Yeah, you're a half point off. What do you think?
Yeah. Yeah, I think objectively on paper, the Bengals had a much better offseason than the Chiefs did. I mean, I know you mentioned earlier, obviously, Juwan Taylor is better than Orlando Brown, but Orlando Brown's better than Jonah Williams and Lyle Collins.
Yeah.
I am still a bit concerned when they do at right tackle. I'm sure Jonah Williams will just have to be kind of won over and just take that job, which I think is not a huge problem. But getting Miles Murphy, DJ Turner, and Jordan Battle in the first 2 rounds of the draft, I'm actually kind of like what the Chiefs did more than I think consensus, but I don't think they added players that make a big impact in 2023 much at all. Whereas I think Cincy honestly could get some contributions from all those players. And then you also add depth. Like if they have an injury receiver, I think you have options now with Charlie Jones from Purdue, the guy they picked up. So yeah, I mean, I just think, like you said, I think the stat is they've actually never not covered a 3-point spread when Jamar Chase plays. Which probably. Yeah.
I was going to reference that.
Yeah, which is probably kind of a noisy stat, but it's funny nonetheless. So yeah, no, I think the hook is too much. I'm surprised. I know I had 3, but I'm still very surprised by that.
But yeah, Brad, what was I forget the exact stat. Is it spread or the overall like outcome of the game?
I think they've never the worst outcome they've ever had with Jamar Chase playing is a loss by a field goal.
Yeah. I think that's
like they've never not covered 3.5 when Jamar Chase plays.
Yeah.
With Joe Burrow, obviously. Yeah.
So it could be noise, but like it also speaks to how good they are just creating explosives, staying in the game and just like turning the game on its head. I think the only they did lose to the Chargers by like 19 a couple years back or in 2021, and both Burrow and Chase were healthy. So I think it's when they're a dog, they've never lost by more than 3 because they've lost by more than 3. Like they lost by more than 3 to the Chargers, but they were favored by like 3.5 that game. So I think it's the stats like whenever they're a dog, they've never lost by more than 3, and they've always covered when they're a dog.
That's probably I think you're right. Yeah.
Is Jamar Chase your number one wide receiver? If you have to take one wide receiver, start a team with?
No.
Jefferson for me.
Yeah.
Taking Jefferson. You're taking Jefferson.
It's close, but
yeah, I think you make a case for Jamar Chase.
I think you could. I think you definitely could. I think he's a different physical. Like there are fewer athletes walking around that are Jamar Chases than Justin Jefferson's. He's just so technically sound and just good at what he does. But Jamar Chase is a beast.
Yeah, both very good. All right, we have Lakers by 7 or getting 7.5 tonight. So just checking that right real quick, putting my entire summer's allowance on Warriors by 19.5. It's the official ruling. Speaking of summer and allowances, Arjun, you are leaving us for the summer. You are going to get an internship, and you're going to announce it later. I'm going to give a hint to the people out there. There's a good movie about internships. You should go check it out. That'll give you a clue. And we're going to miss you for the summer, obviously. Hopefully you'll be back to guess the lines with us next year. We wish you well. I wanted to say, I was curious, Brad, if you had any recommendations for Arjun. We've both obviously done, summer internships and stuff before. Any words of wisdom to give young AJ before he departs?
Yeah, hopefully he's too busy for this to apply. But we talked about betting baseball. If you have some downtime, some internships, they can't always find work for you. That's about the only time you bet baseball is like noon, 1 p.m. Eastern, opening pitch. Check it out. But don't
Nice.
tell your employer, obviously.
What an incredible gift. Bet on baseball. My recommendation for you is not to be the try hard intern. Let someone else do that, and then kind of show them up by actually just doing better work. I don't think you're going to be the try hard intern, but I always feel like it's necessary to, because you never know. Sometimes you get in there, you're smarter than everybody else. It's just like easy, but that never comes off well. Play the long game.
Real thing that's important, that it's very real, very important. Don't bring like a notable lunch the first day. Like I had a buddy brought a tuna salad sandwich first day of an internship. You never do that, because then you're tuna salad sandwich guy for 3 months. Like you got to play it smart. Either bring nothing and you just go hungry at your desk, or someone will get you something, or just bring like turkey and cheese with a piece of lettuce on like white. Like just don't stick out. Don't stand out in the crowd. All right.
No tuna salad. There you go. Arjun, you feel ready now?
Yeah, no, I do. Great pearls of wisdom from the fellas. Definitely going to keep that in mind as I head into my internship. But yeah, this is a blast, and I hope I can come back when the season starts, because obviously this is a very fun time of the week for me. So I really appreciate you guys and appreciate the press, and I'll still be hanging around the Discord and stuff. But yeah, I'm excited for the summer, and obviously going to be tuning into the pod, every single episode.
Brad and I will come check in on you, make sure, that you're doing okay. And you haven't ruined anyone's day with bad lunches. That's a good one. I didn't even think about that. Maybe pick up intermittent fasting. Now's your chance.
Yeah.
If you pick it up though, don't talk about it. That would be the biggest thing I would look for. Someone walks in and like the first day can't shut up about all of their amazing habits and routines. No.
The keto CrossFit guy, don't be that guy either. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a newly vegan CrossFit addict. So there you go. Or ayahuasca. I don't know. Anyways, that was our show. We'll be back on Sunday. Brad and I fresh off a nice ayahuasca trip and betting some PGA with the Lakers advancing. It's going to be a great show. Appreciate you guys hanging out. We'll talk to you later. Peace.